Okay, then here another video on how you can do your line art. Uh, the only thing is it's always hard to get the perfect amount of stitches going over each path, the same amount. So like if you want a double stitch here on everything, it is hard to accomplish that. That takes really puzzling and planning and organizing. But if you're okay with basically everything a single or a double stitch, then this is a fairly easy way to go about it. You can also set it up as a triple stitch, quite easy. So, and in order to do that, just go. I have here a little horse with design as an outline, and so then what you want to do is just take the Bezier tool, and when there is nothing selected, you can go and set your stroke color here, and then just start drawing. It doesn't really matter where you start. You can start over here. There's different people drawing different ways with their Bezier. Most of the time I will go and do a section just with straight lines and then go and adjust my lines after. There is also the way you can start and you can go and drag your curves as you're going, if you so desire. And for this way of doing your line art, doesn't matter where you start and where you finish. That doesn't really matter. The only thing is ink stitch will be taking a different path if you drawing in different directions. So, but the end result is gonna be there. It's all gonna be stitched out in one path. So you just keep on drawing, and as you could see, I started drawing the second part. If I would start drawing again, and I can have and if I have the snapping on or whatnot, I can continue on from this line, and it will, let me see now, it did not create, oh yeah, as you can see, it is all still one path. So I can continue this with the Bezier tool, as if this node changes the color, I can continue right from there again, and I can forget about some other sections and I can draw them in whenever, and I don't worry about which direction I'm going, if I'm going from top to bottom or from bottom to top. That doesn't matter. Just do it at your convenience, and you can stop wherever and continue whenever. So that way you can draw in all your lines, and I did that already. So I will move over into the next section here, where I have my paths all, and as you can see, there are different ways of going about it. You can draw your lines from intersection to where two lines are intersecting to the next point, do them all as separate pieces, and that is the same here. I went here at each intersection. That's where I made a path, because if I want to make some changes to some of the stitching, then I can do that quite easy on a single stretch of a path. And what I did here, this one, I will select one path, and here you can see this is one path, basically all the way going just about around the outside, and then I went and created the little paths on the inside. So there's different ways you can do it. So then what we want to do is, let me see here. Let me go and take this one a little bit out of the way here. Oh, I have to have the select tool. I'll select this horse, and I'll move this out of the way a little bit, and I have the stroke set at fairly narrow. Oh yeah, I want to make you aware too yet what I did as much as possible. Make sure that my lines are all snapping. So if I select this one, and with the shift key down, select another line. If there are nodes, I went and placed all the nodes on top of each other, so that there is no spacing in between. And as you can see here, I'm a little bit off, so this one I would go and drag that on top, and I should have the snapping on, and then it will snap right to the node. So I made a kind of sure about that all these corners are properly on top of each other. And there too you can have snapping to path, but that may not matter too much, because it will probably create a little jump in between. But anyway, then once we have all the paths drawn, then what we go and do is we select all these paths, and then we go extension, ink stitch, satin tools, convert line to satin. And now all the lines are converted to satin. And it may not look like a satin, and the reason for that is because the line width was really narrow to begin with. So, but as we zoom in now, and if I click on there, now you can see the two rails, and you can see the rungs going across. And if I change the line width, narrow that one even further down, then you can see that there are the two rails and the rungs are here. And it doesn't matter which way we leave it. We can go and undo. So it still all looks like one line. Then what we do is we still have them all selected. Then we go extension, ink stitch, satin tools, and we go to the auto route satin columns, and then have everything unchecked, and we can go and apply. And now Inkscape and Inkstitch are thinking what is the path of direction, And once that is done, then we just close out of this window. And then we can go select everything again. Oh, I have to make sure I have the select. So select everything again, and then we can go extension, and we go satin tools, convert satin to stroke. What I did first is change it to a different color, but just in case if there are some adjustments I want to make, then you can go and select your satin first. Maybe I should do that for a moment too. As you can see here in the objects panel, there is an auto satin created, and in the auto satin there we have the satin column, and we have the auto satin running stitches. And there you can see this is a column. So if we want to change the color for that, for just to make sure that everything turns out okay, then what we can do is select one of them, and then go edit, select same stroke style, and now you can see here in the object panel that only the auto satin paths are selected and the running stitches are not selected, because the running stitches, they are created with a different line style or a stroke style. So now what I'll do is I'll change the color on the auto satin, and now I can go and select everything and go extension, ink stitch, satin tools, convert satin to stroke, and then we go and apply, and there we should have our whole drawing should be all done. Extension, ink stitch, Params, and I'll slow down here for a moment, and I'll do a restart here, and there you can see follow the path. Like you get now all the little stops, because it is having the running stitch underneath is still in a different color. So, but once I'm satisfied with how many times it goes over each path and how the layout is, if I'm satisfied, then I will go and select everything and go and turn them into one single color. And as you can see, now it was doing it went down a long ways along the edge here, and then it traveled all the way back again and finished up here on the tail. So I'll go and quit here, and that's looking pretty good. So I cancel out of my params. Now I make sure I have everything selected, and then I go and set my stroke color, and for setting my stroke color I always use the center mouse button. As you can see, the mouse key I'm pressing, that is the center mouse button what is highlighted, and that is how I change my stroke color. So you don't have to necessarily use the shift key, you can just use your center mouse button to switch the color if you so desire for the stroke. And for the fill, what you do is just select the left click mouse. Okay, now I'll go and set it at the black, and we'll go and run the params again. Extension, ink stitch, params, and now you will see it runs faster, and you don't see the, oh, my plan was to slow down. You don't see, so like now you get a tie in, and then it will continuously sew out. And what may happen too is sometimes with the auto satin, converting a line to a satin and then converting it back to a running stitch, that at certain spots that the lines are not matching up. So you may have to double check that a little bit. So there is the design, and this one ended up here on the tail, and the pathing too. I'll put the other one beside it for a moment. So we'll take this one for a moment too, and we'll go, and that one is drawn in a different, more as a full outline first, and then we did a little pass in between. So I'll go and extension, ink stitch, satin tools, convert line to satin, and then we go extension, ink stitch, satin tools, auto route satin columns. So it is important that you go through these few steps in the right order. So first you convert it to the satin, then you auto route your satin, and then you convert your satin back to a running stitch. Okay, now it's done. Close, and then we go select it all again, extension, ink stitch, satin tools, convert satin to stroke, and then hit apply, and then we can close out of there. And now we can, let's put that one close together with the other one, and then I'll grab both of them and we'll sew them both out, and then you can see that each one will stitch out a little bit different. Or the final result is somewhat the same, but the order and where it finishes is a little different. So I'll maximize this one, and do, let's see, 300 stitches per, come on, slow down. Okay, now we do a restart. So there it starts at the mouth, and So there is a little bit of a difference in the pathing, how it is finishing, but the the finished result is similar. Okay, I hope this will help you in your digitizing and doing your line art and make it a little easier and have fun. Okay, take care.